Hello YouTube, it's Englandine, and just ask me, what's better, Marvel or DC? And I will tell you without hesitation that it is DC. Better characters, better books. No hesitation whatsoever. However, that's without actually thinking about anything. So what would it be like if I were to read everything, then score them, and actually find out based on that score which one is better every week? And that's what I'm going to do. And it's going to be a simple scoring system that I've always been using. It's not brain surgery. 1 is poor, 2 below average, 3 is average, 4 is above average, and 5 is excellent. Now everybody gets into the, hey, if it's 5 stars, does that mean it's Watchmen quality? No. It just means it does what it does perfectly. Very well. I mean, let's face it. Evil Dead is a 5-star horror film, but I wouldn't say it's as good as The Godfather, and that's what I'm saying here, and this is the way we're going to score things. So without further ado, let's get this ball rolling. This week's 1-star books. There were actually more than I would really prefer, but what you going to do about it? Let's hope they get better as it goes. No. Bad art, bad writing, bad dialogue. This little dimensional jump to capture a Doctor Doom is incredibly stupid for a book that's actually written about a smart character. If you are not already familiar with what's going on in Ultimates 2, issue number 5 is not going to help you. It is absolutely not friendly to new readers. It all ends up, it's just an incomprehensible mess. I am really not a fan of this new Power Girl. I don't think that Power Girl needed to be changed. I thought that she was just fine. However, this one is the whole teen genius Riri Williams BS also. And I have a problem with that character also. And by the time that this book hit the middle, I was checked out. The bad dialogue just and the irritating characters just drew me right out of the story, and it never recovered. Star Trek and Green Lantern's Stranger Worlds number 4 is, I keep using mess, but the thing is the art is so bad it's flat and forgettable, and it's hard to see the characters that are on the written page being the characters that they're supposed to be in the book, especially Khan. Khan is nowhere near what he was in the movie, either this one or the original Star Trek 2. So all in all, it's a missed opportunity. Darth Maul number 2. This is almost a great example of Shakespearean sound and fury signifying nothing. Darth Maul is on a quest, and it's a MacGuffin of epic proportions. The people are talking at each other for exposition's sake rather than to each other, as if they actually know each other. Fight's a little disjointed, and in the end, everything just seems to it's falling flat. Black Panther number 12, man, this issue could be a tranquilizer. It is incredibly boring. The art is distracting and it pulls you out of the story, so you can't really enjoy it to the fullest. But the worst thing is the dialogue. It's stilted. It's almost like Stan Lee from the 1960s. It's like somebody doesn't exactly know how people talk in Africa, so they just go with the noble tribesman bit. It's just amazingly bad. Hulk number 4 is just as bad as boring as the first 3 issues. I've done a full video on this, so please feel free to check that out and enjoy. Every time I read Mother Panic, I want it to be so good, but it just ends up not. It falls flat. Now, I keep saying that too, falling flat. Mother Panic number 5, it's just aimless. It's got aimless dialogue, and it wants to be hip and mysterious, but it just ends up being vague and pointless. And the characters are written smug and as if they're waiting for the audience to catch up to them. It's horrible. And here's this week's 2-star books. DC Bombshells Chapter 87 features the final confrontation between Power Girl and Supergirl, and it's a decent enough story for a little bit, but the dialogue is so bad and cheesy that it rips you right out of it, ending any kind of tension. As a matter of fact, the story ends halfway through the book, and yet they seem to find themselves with way too many pages that they have to fill, which just has more cheesy dialogue to it. Future Quest number 11. Now, Future Quest is usually a book that it's on and off. Like, some issues are good, some issues are bad. This one is just a bad one. The heroes make a stand against the invader, and there's a lot that happens here, but no real tension is built up, and that is a problem for me. And if you haven't been following it from the beginning, you're going to be lost with this one. Truly, especially if you're not familiar with the Hanna-Barbera characters from the old 1970s cartoons, and I am. This issue, Prowler number 6, suffers from flashbackitis. Now, while Peter Parker and Prowler I forget his real name, are sitting there and talking, it's actually a pretty good book, but it's completely flatlined by boring fight scenes of what the characters are talking about. And it's strange that the characters talking about the action are the better scenes rather than the action themselves. This is a very uneven book. To be fair, this is chapter 6 of a story. It's the finale of the story, and I'm not familiar with this title at all, but it is completely unfriendly to new readers, and so I have to at least put that in. But hey, I did like the fact that it included Spider-Ham, the spectacular Spider-Ham, and it does have an excellent cover, so at least it's got that going for it. But if you're just a casual reader, you're going to be lost. Blue Beetle number 7 is another case of messy art distracting from a story. Now, Dr. Fate's in it, and that's always a good thing to see him. He's a very underused character. The story itself, however, was a mix. Parts with Dr. Fate, where he fought the Scarab Demon, was good with the Spirit of Arian. The other stuff, however, was just dull. It ended up really bringing the story down. This book has been better, and I hope it gets better again. Extraordinary X-Men number 20. I guess this is the aftermath of the Inhumans versus X-Men crossover. And at least there's an aftermath, and it's not completely wiped away like most of these major Marvel crossovers anymore. However, what is up with the crappy art these days? I mean, seriously, if this is the standard for Marvel artists, sign me up. I can at least do stick figures. The story was, I like the fact that they got back to the Living Sentinel there. That was good. But ultimately, it's just a meaningless fight with meaningless conversation that ends in a meaningless baseball game. I see what they're trying to do, casting back to the nostalgia of yesteryear, where every big event would be met with an off issue where everybody just got to be people. However, this issue wasn't them just being people, it was an adventure issue. So they kind of missed their mark on it. It seems so much that in Invincible Iron Man number 5, they're trying to make Riri Williams way too perfect. And that makes her boring. And that just makes the stories boring. However, her side characters are excellent. And I would love to see that. I would actually prefer a book about a mother having to deal with a teenage daughter who is a superhero, rather than the superhero they're presenting to us. This is a downtime issue, and you get to know the characters. So if you're not into the characters, you're not going to be into the book. I thought it was hit and miss. I liked the introduction of Aqualad, and I liked the news bit because it harkened back to the old George Perez days. However, I did not like them telling me that Garfield Logan was a vegan, because Garfield Logan has been seen eating cheeseburgers. And anybody really in tune with the animal kingdom would know they devour each other and would not be afraid to eat meat. It just doesn't make sense, and it comes off very uncharacteristic. Here are the 3-star or average books. Unworthy Thor number 5. Man, I've been loving this miniseries. It's been exciting. It's drawn well. The story was really good. The excitement, the action was on. And that's the way it was right up until the point where it ended up right where the freaking story started from. Nothing changed in this book. It really didn't. This was just one big long exercise to get us to accept the fact that Thor doesn't call himself Thor anymore. Action Comics 976 is a decent ending to the Superman Reborn storyline, where they're up against Mr. Mxyzptlk. Except for it does get a little bit, by that I mean a lot, cheesy at the end. It's entertaining, but it's nothing that's amazing or anything. Well, like, it's 3 stars. It's average. It's an average ending to the book. Wonder Woman number 19 is not new reader friendly at all. If you haven't been following along, you're going to be lost. Now, it does pick up as it gets towards the end. However, it does become interesting too. It ends on a higher note, but unfortunately, that's not enough to save it from a first half that just bogs down with exposition and information that people needed in the previous issues. Muted colors kind of bog down a muted story. I've done a full video on this, so please check that out. Captain America number 14. Now, I am coming to grips with the fact that every Captain America issue is going to be something leading up to Secret Empire. That's just something we should get used to. Last issue was, I think it was Baron Zemo recruiting. This is Madam Hydra recruiting. But it's basically the same book as last time. Not horrible, it's just, rinse and repeat. And that's what we get this time. It's her origins in it, so that's a little bit different. Now we're getting to the undeniably good stuff, the 4-star books. Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures number 5. This is just one issue of a 5-issue miniseries that has been consistently excellent all throughout. Now, in this one, they find out the Mad Hatter is the brains behind the whole operation, which is kind of a bit of a turn, because it's always like the Joker or somebody like that. However, it's just a ton of fun, and I can't recommend this series enough. And speaking of Batman team-ups that I just can't seem to praise enough, Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77 Chapter 9 is just another excellent chapter of this series. In this one, Wonder Woman actually travels to 77 where she meets up with Batman, and now he's retired and Nightwing is taken over. And Batgirl's the commissioner. It is such a good story, very well written. I recommend this to anybody. Maybe it's because I'm a family man. I've got kids of my own and such, but I'm loving these books like Superman and now over here, Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, where it's a family affair. I kind of dig this. In this case, they just spoil a bank robbery. It's just they're out on family night and there's a bank robbery and, well, they go and stop it. It's silly, it's stupid, it's fun, but it's completely enjoyable. In Elektra number 2, Arcade sends these robots after Elektra to capture her. Of course, she beats them, and then she hunts down whoever sent them. Of course, we know it's Arcade. And she ends up getting captured and put into Arcade's murder world. And I am a big fan of Arcade. I'm a big fan of Murder World. I'm looking forward to what happens next. This is a lot of fun. It is really just a comic book for comic book's sake that is entertaining as all get out. Suicide Squad number 14. What's not to like in this book? You have Harley's... the Suicide Squad's captured and disbanded because they no longer have the bombs in their head. Harley's got a call to arms that's awesome. Deadshot ends up gut-shotting her. Digger, the Captain Boomerang, he steps up and stands up for himself and the Suicide Squad. Not to mention one hell of a cliffhanger. This is a good issue. All story and no plot. It manages to keep a noirish feel to it. Hellblazer number 8. It is a lot of dialogue. It's a lot of talking. However, it is very interesting. There is a spot, and this is what keeps it from being a 5. There is a spot where the dialogue is so vague, it kind of drags it down just a touch. But it never becomes so poorly done that it ruins the tone of the book. This is a lot of fun. It's a pretty good story. I recommend it. Rocket Raccoon versus Kraven the Hunter is an idea that is so genius, and you wonder why it wasn't done before. And I loved that part of the story. I really did. And the fact that there's an alien jail of sorts, that actually, I like it. I like this issue. I was surprised at it. It was more fun than I expected to be. And I've read issues of Rocket before, it's just this one really stands out. Next, let's visit the other Guardian of the Galaxy that was released this week with Gamora number 4. This was a dynamic issue, and I have to admit, I'm not the biggest Gamora fan. I haven't been really following it. However, if this is the average Gamora issue, I want to see more. I dug the story, dug the character, and her attitude. I like the surrounding crew also. I mean, the book wasn't perfect, but it's still pretty damn fun. Doom Patrol number 5. Now, right out of the gate, the cartoony art kind of turns me off of the story a little bit, but as it went on, even though it's kind of a semi-coherent mess, it's really interesting, and it's exciting, and it's fun. I gotta say, if it had better art, I probably would have given this a 5. However, as it stands, it earns its 4 stars. In Batman Beyond number 6, you have Terry McGinnis trying to reconcile his life as Batman and his regular life. And it ends up being a very interesting story. The meat of it is the dialogue between Terry and his girlfriend. And I like the ending where he wants to put his life before Batman. And I'm hoping that it has some consequence to it. And it looks like it's a pretty good cliffhanger. I have to admit, after Inhumans vs. X-Men, I thought I was going to hate Uncanny Inhumans number 20. However, the book was fun. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it this much. Now, the ending with Black Bolt and Medusa, that was kind of cheesy. However, the whole story before that, dealing with Mad Max, was awesome. It was fun, it was funny, it was entertaining as heck. I just enjoyed this book a lot. Having said that, Black Bolt running a club in a jacket that looks like his old outfit is stupid, and that needs to end. And now the excellent books, the 5 stars, of which this week there are only 2. Detective Comics has Batman dealing with Lady Shiva in the League of Assassins. It is awesome. It's great art. It's an exciting story. The characters are good. Even through the action, we are shown who the characters are. And most importantly, this book got me so excited for what happens next. I cannot wait until next week to see how this story continues. Fool Killer number 5 ends up being the best of Marvel this week. I mean, it's the only 5-star book. It's the best what Marvel put out. It's pretty damn good. I mean, I want more Fool Killer, as a matter of fact. There's great writing. It was smart writing. It was a smart story. And the art is there. The character was cool. I really want to see more of this guy. And there you go. Every comic book released by either Marvel or DC this week. And each of them scored. So let me tally up the scores and see where we stand. Marvel and DC both only had 1 5-star book each. Starting the scores off tied at 5-5. 5 4-star books for Marvel. 7 4-star books for DC. That puts the score at 25 for Marvel and 32 for DC. As far as the 3 stars, DC had 2 and Marvel had 3. Bringing the score to 34 for Marvel and 41 for DC Comics. Each company had 4 2-star comic books, giving them 8 points each. Making the score 42 Marvel, 49 DC Comics. And for the 1-star comics, Marvel had 5 and DC Comics had 3. Making the final tally 47 points for Marvel Comics, 52 points for DC Comics. Marvel had 18 titles, giving them an average score of 2.61. And DC has 19 titles, giving them a score of 2.73. Making DC Comics the winner of the week. Now, 2 things of note. 1, the scores were a lot closer than I would have first imagined. And 2, neither company had a great week. It was a below average week for both companies. I know they can do better, so I'm looking forward to better things next week. So what did you think about this little experiment here? Now, I enjoyed it. I like doing it like this. This will not take place of regular reviews. However, I love to see the numbers and if what I think fits with what I actually feel. So let me know in the comments below if you like it or not. And if you did like it and you want to see more videos like this, please click like, click share, and click subscribe. And thank you for watching.